Just roll it. Welcome back to the Starting Two podcast. I'm Alex Desai. This is my co-host Brody Minnick. A couple of guys from West Virginia, and we're excited to talk to you guys today about some sports, some music, and probably not movies, but we'll probably get into that a little later too.
Cool. Yeah, man. So we had an exciting weekend of college football, NFL football. The Orioles almost got no hit, but we broke it up. Hey, we broke up the first one, man. We broke up the first one, and that was great. That was awesome. Little Jackson Holiday bomb in the ninth inning with 2 outs left. Absolutely tragic, and they ended up winning the game as well. So that was pretty awesome. A fun little interjection. I was actually watching the LSU game with my dad, and LSU we'll get to it, but they weren't playing very well, so I was very concerned about that. And of course, my dad, being the faithful Orioles fan that he is like, he's holding on to any win that they can get this season. So we sat there and watched it, and I'm glad we did. We ended up watching it, and I got to see the whole rundown. So, yeah, college football this weekend. Great games. We had a lot of weird, almost upsets for some of the big powerhouse teams, that being Clemson. LSU wasn't close to being upset, but it was sloppy. They played very sloppy on offense. Defense looks legit. Only reason that there was a 7-up on the board is a busted play down late in the fourth, but the offense just has to show up. And LSU plays a team that just got upset horribly by USF, which would be Florida. So South Florida upset them this weekend, and that was a wild game, receiving a lot of wild reactions. And Florida's looking to bounce back this weekend, which is scary, right, Alex? I think a team that loses like that is always something to watch next week.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, too. Did USF's quarterback sit out for the first half for disciplinary reasons?
I don't even know. And if you heard that, then it's probably true.
I don't know if that's exactly true, but, I mean, if USF won against Florida, powerhouse SEC team, without their starting quarterback playing the entire first half, still managed to lose, they're going to have a little bit of fire under their butts. And LSU should probably handle them, but I think Florida will come into that game with a little more oomph.
Yeah, we also had another spitting incident. So
yeah,
hats off to Jalen Carter for starting a movement.
Hey now.
Yeah, I was watching some sports this morning, and they were talking about that, and Stephen A. and Marcus Spears were talking about it, and God bless his soul, Mad Dog, Christopher Russo, was screaming about it. But bottom line, we were all talking about how, like, you just can't. You
can't do it, man.
And now we've got people doing it, 2 days later after that. It was like, what are you doing? And he also got suspended. So.
Yeah, I guess he didn't watch the Eagles game.
Guess he didn't watch it. I think he was trying to be creative, huh? So, anyways, but yeah, that was weird. And then I did see, actually, at the end of that, somebody posted they recorded the ending of it on a DS. So if you haven't seen that video, go watch the video. It's horribly cooked. You can't see anything, but I actually have a DS. I have a Nintendo DSi XL that I still play, that I actually have Call of Duty. I have 3 Call of Duty games on there. The Black Ops zombie mode is horrifying. The graphics are so bad that it's like low-key scary. So anyways, I need to start recording stuff on my DS, because if that's what it looks like, it was awesome. So yeah, some huge games. Clemson looked terrible.
Yeah, you talked about some upsets this week.
Yeah, Clemson.
Go ahead and break down Clemson. Yeah, go ahead and break down
Dude,
Clemson.
I don't know what, and of course, me being an LSU fan, LSU Clemson week 1, great game, right? But now I'm thinking, and I'm like, okay, there's 2 options here. LSU breaks Clemson week 1, right? It's like that's a detrimental thing to have, your top ranked team and you lose week 1, you don't know what to do the next week, right? That's one scenario. Second scenario is Clemson's actually not that good. So, I don't know. They're down, I'm pretty sure they were down 16-0 at one point to Troy, which is, that's not good as a top 10 ranked team. It can't happen, and it doesn't matter if the offense is sluggish. Klubnik came out in the second half and did what he needed to do, but there was a lot of costly stuff earlier in that game, and I sat there for a little bit, and I was like, Clemson's going to lose to Troy. So they came back and won, as per usual, what Power 5 teams usually do, but concerning. So,
well, do you Do you remember what I was when we talked about week one? We talked about Virginia Tech, South Carolina. We talked about some of those games during that first slate, and we talked mainly about ACC ball and SEC ball and the big difference between the two and the competitiveness of the two. And we talked about how ACC. When's the last time an ACC team had a stunning offense, stunning defense, just get after you kind of ball? It's been a while. Okay. Clemson hasn't really, to me at least, I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong. Clemson hasn't been the team that they were supposed to be after they lost Trevor Lawrence. DJ Uiagalelei, that's a mouthful. He was never the guy for them, and I think with that, you lose games on prime time in Death Valley. I mean, your recruits are coming in and you're watching bad football. They're not going to want to be there, so you're going to lose against these LSU teams. You're going to struggle against Troy. I mean, the fall off for them has been bad, and I think it's a testament to ACC ball is not the same that it was before, back when, you can go back a couple of years when, again, Virginia Tech fan here, Michael Vick, Tyrod Taylor. You could look at these Clemson teams with Taj Boyd and Deshaun Watson and Florida State with Jameis Winston and back even further with them, and Miami back when they were really good. I think it's a testament to that. ACC is not the same as it was, and you got to look at them as potentially being one of the worst conferences. Obviously got SEC, Big Ten up here. Pac-12 is diluted or dissolved or whatever it's called.
Yeah, it's literally the Pac-2s.
And you got to think, I mean, is Big 12 coming up on ACC? I don't think so yet, but I think, I mean, if Clemson can't beat Troy, if Miami, thank God they beat Notre Dame, but if they weren't able to get there, you're looking at the Big 12 probably being a better team right now.
Well, I'll say this, as an avid, growing up watching the SEC, you get the best football ever, right? However, a lot of great ACC teams. I mean, Lamar Jackson with Louisville. Duke's had some crazy good years out of nowhere. There's been a lot of great, hey, don't discount Duke. Duke's had some good moments.
No, they haven't.
Think about North Carolina, too. Always a solid program, right? They've got good programs, and especially among other things. The problem is, and you know this, I'm not a Big 12 fan. So obviously came to West Virginia, love West Virginia, but I'm not a fan of the Big 12. And I think West Virginia should be in the ACC, actually. Not just location-based, but I think, we would fit really well into the ACC. Part of it is because it's different football, right? And Big 12 football used to be something different, right? Like, we were talking about this last time. Something magical, air ball, throw it out, air raid, just big play, right? Defense was optional, okay? Now I feel like the defense in the Big 12 is a little bit better than it was at least a decade ago. But I also think the teams are weaker, especially offensively. We don't have the powerhouse names. We don't have TCU putting up 60 a game, right?
Well, you lost Texas and Oklahoma to the SEC.
Yeah, and that's the two teams that really, and I don't think they were balanced at all. And I do think the Big 12 is a much more balanced conference now. And it's cool that we were able to have Cincinnati come up, BYU, Houston, teams that really level the playing field, right? But it's also kind of lame. It's really, Big 12 is the opponent that you add the group of 5 teams. So, it's on one hand, it's cool. The other hand, it's Big 12 is getting kind of lame, which it is. And if you step out of the Big 12 and you put yourself as just a middle point view looking at all of them, you can clearly see SEC, Big 10, whatever the pack is now, and then ACC, right? So you can clearly kind of point them in numbers, whatever you want to, but Big 12's got some catching up to do. But I do think overall it's a much more even division now, even conference. But yeah, that being said, it's just ACC has just not had the same level, right? And part of that is Dabo Swinney's been heavily criticized for his NIL comments, his lack of transfer portal additions, right? LSU returned, I think it was somewhere around 7 or 8 starters from last year, right? Everybody else, new, transfer portal, new, right? And Dabo Swinney returned, I think it was 16, and they lost, and they almost lost to Troy. So it's one of those where you gotta play the game, right? You have to. It's not a choice anymore. So, anyways,
you look at teams like the SEC when Alabama gets upset last week, Clemson gets beat by LSU. You got to think, okay, let's see how these guys come back. Let's see how these teams rally behind their losses. Granted, UL Monroe is not quite the talent that Florida State was or any of these other teams, but it's kind of the same thing with Troy. I think Alabama won 66-0. 70-0, somewhere in
Yeah,
that
it was.
realm.
Speaking of on this page, a lot of beatdowns this weekend. A lot of it, and a part of it is there's a lot of cupcakes. Right, this is the easy week. Week one might be hard. Week two, Alabama 73-0. Yeah, 73-0. Auburn played Ball State, and that was 42-3. Miami played. Uh, uh, I don't even Bethune Cookman. So I don't know where that is. I'm sorry to any fans out there watching. I applaud your team for putting up three. That's great. So
Three more than we would have.
yeah, 100%. A lot of blowouts though. We had South Carolina playing South Carolina State. Pretty big gap there. Utah, holy moly, Utah looks good this year. Tennessee beat East Tennessee State 72-17.
Ohio State beat Grambling. Texas beat
70-0.
San Jose.
Did Georgia only beat Austin P 28-6, which is a little concerning. Same thing with LSU. Now Louisiana Tech, that's a Group of 5 program. Good program, good defense from what I'm watching. But LSU played sloppy. It should have been a lot bigger than that. God, Florida State 77-3. East Texas A&M, guys. We didn't show up, did we? So, furthermore, is Florida State legit? Let me hear your opinion on that. We're only 2 games in. Let's not get ahead of ourselves, but they beat a good Alabama team, and
They
have
put
a
the
lot of
brakes
hype behind
on.
them.
Yeah. Legit, I don't know, but I think they'll make the playoff. I think they'll be one of those fringe playoff teams. The way they're playing, the way they're moving the ball, the way they're protecting the rock. I mean, they're not making mistakes, and I think that's the biggest thing. We talk about, not shooting yourself in the foot, not doing things that are going to hinder you when you're playing. Florida State did all the right things when it came to Alabama. Maybe didn't get the ball down the field every drive, all that kind of stuff, but that's for show. That's flair. Obviously, that's going to be good, and you're going to be able to score quickly. But if you're still controlling the game, controlling the pace, making sure you're not making mistakes, you'll be in good positions. You beat Alabama, okay, and you beat them handily at that, okay, and then you show what you're supposed to show against the lesser of teams in college football, and you've taken out a lot of the big talent in your schedule. Alabama was probably the highlight of their schedule. I don't know exactly who they're playing. If they're playing Clemson later on in the season, if they're going to play Miami later on in the season, they might get one of them. But say they lose 2 games, you're still very much in play to make the playoff this year at 12-team playoff. So I think Florida State may not be back in terms of what we've seen in the past with Jameis Winston and whatever the famous coach's name is. That's bad.
Are you talking? You talking Jimbo?
Is it Jim? No, not Jimbo Fisher. Jimbo Fisher.
Hey, Jimbo had some good years there.
Is it
man.
Bobby Bowden?
I think so. Yeah.
Maybe it's him. I don't know if they're that back, but I think they're competitive again, and I think that if they can kind of cruise on this and make hay while the sun's shining, they can get back to being one of those premier colleges in college football.
Yeah, so let's go down their schedule real quick. You made a lot of good points there. I don't know if they're back, but you know what? They look good. And this big of a turnaround already for winning 2 games. It's Kent State, Virginia, Miami. Tough game right there. Pittsburgh, Stanford, Wake Forest, Clemson, Virginia Tech, NC State, and Florida. So
I only see Virginia Tech as the only loss on that schedule.
let's be real. We can't fake it. So yeah, no, but I see Miami's a tough game. Clemson, depending on how their season goes, that's later. And then last game of the season, Florida. So a lot to prove, but I don't know. We'll see. Only time will tell, but they do look really good. I have to give my hat off to them. They have as many wins as they did last year already. So
I know.
that's good stuff. Sweet. Let's move on to NFL. Alex, give me a rundown this week of some things you saw, some good teams, some bad teams, some things you really didn't expect, and some things you might have already expected.
It was a phenomenal week 1. It was a rejoiceful week 1. I was very happy to be on my couch all day, and I enjoyed a lot of good games on Red Zone. We talked a little bit about the Thursday night game, and we got some clips of that on social media, so if you guys want to hear about that, check that one out, but we did not talk about Friday or Sunday games yet. The Friday game was the Chiefs and the Chargers in Sao Paulo, Brazil. and it was a great game. Really good game. It was unfortunate to see Xavier Worthy go out early. A little friendly fire with Travis Kelce, dislocated shoulder. But other than that, it's you look at the Chiefs and you go, that was not a great showing. You know, I saw some cats on ESPN talking about they're worried about the defense and all this kind of stuff. Maybe Pat coverages. I heard somebody talk about the run and being worried about that. Amari Hampton didn't ball out. Justin Herbert did well, but how many designed runs did we see for Justin Herbert? None.
Yeah, it was really weird too because Najee, I think he had a carry for 5 yards, and and Marion, I think he will be, good, but that's a lot of pressure to put on a rookie, and yeah, it was weird. They didn't. After I'm looking at the stats, and I'm like, wow, how did the Chargers come out with this game plan? But I mean, Justin Herbert looked comfortable, and that's something we haven't always seen from him. He's cold blooded. He can be a killer. But he
Mm-hmm.
can also be somebody who gets shuffled when something isn't right, when the game plan doesn't go right. So that was really, if you're a Chargers fan, I'm happy to see that. And against a good Chiefs defense, the Chiefs are always solid. The Chiefs always have the refs on their side. We all know that. So I think it was a good showing. To be honest, I think Justin Herbert looked comfortable. The weapons were there, and I don't know. Maybe Hardball's got this new hardwired team fired up. So
And I think the one thing I'll take away from the game, especially in the first half, you look at the Chiefs. There's a ton of stuff that you can pull apart, all this kind of stuff. The Chiefs of the past versus the Chiefs of the new. You look at Xavier Worthy. Xavier Worthy is supposed to be that Tariq Hill guy, kind of. Just think about the speed. You think about Demarcus Robinson when Patrick Mahomes first started. Okay, think about McCole Hardman. All these guys that were just let's get the ball downfield. How many times did you see them just taking shots? You had the one shot towards Marquise Brown at the end of the game, near the end of the game, rather. You had the touchdown to Kelsey, which was a great little play, a little rub route, I think. Run wasn't good. Play action wasn't good. The run actually came from Mahomes. Mahomes had 57 yards rushing, if I'm correct. But they weren't taking shots, and that's worrisome for me as a watcher, as a viewer. Hey, you're not able to go down the field. You're not able to pick and choose your shots. It's very similar to, and we'll talk about this later, the Lions. The Lions lost Ben Johnson, of course, to the Chicago Bears. We'll talk about that as well. But how many times did you see the play action working? How many times did you see, okay, we're going to attack the middle of the field. We're going to go right at their linebackers. We don't care if they're running high safeties right now. We don't care if they're in the box. We're going to pick and choose, and we're going to be able to take 15-yard out routes. We're going to just take over the middle of the field. We're going to do whatever we want to. That was the Chiefs of the old. Andy Reid would scheme. Patrick Mahomes would throw the ball in a tire, essentially. I mean, just pinpoint. And it didn't seem like that. They were comfortable going downfield, and that's a bit problematic for me. But I think it's a testament to how much Xavier Worthy was a part of their game plan. And I don't know if that's going to be a week 1 issue or if that's going to be a week 2 through 18 or 2 through 17 issue. This is not the week you want to figure it out. You're going to play the Eagles on primetime. That's a horrible week to figure it out. Jalen Carter will be playing. And you got to look, I mean, from the Chiefs, I still have faith in them, but I'm a little nervous.
yeah, I really liked what you said about Xavier Worthy. You had Tyreek Hill, McCole Hardman. These just speedsters, right? Yeah, I mean, when I'm talking about Patrick Mahomes 5 years ago, I'm talking about MVP Patrick Mahomes. I'm talking about, golly, this guy literally will just throw it down the field, and somehow it's right there. It's annoying, right? Every time he releases the ball, I'm like, how does this keep happening? It's like 40 yards down the field. He's on the run. Another big pass. It's Kelsey, Tyreek Hill, whatever. He literally got Tyreek Hill his contract with the Dolphins. I mean, that's the only reason it happened. And hat off to Tyreek Hill, right? Really amazing player, fast. It hasn't been the same in Miami. He's had some great years in Miami. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes elevated that. We all know that. But yeah, it's weird. I'm so used to doing that. I'm so used to like, great, here's another 50-yard bomb, right? Or here's another 50-yard catch and run, right? But it's not the same anymore. And they had a big play to Travis Kelce, probably the best player of the Chiefs game, I'd say. But you got to think about it. You're losing Travis Kelce, right? He's not the same as he was. He's still great, but he's not the same as he was, right? So you got to get these new playmakers, and they do have somebody with Xavier Worthy, but we also got to think, is Xavier Worthy that every down kind of guy, right? You tell me, is Tyreek Hill built like Xavier Worthy or vice versa? No, they're two different kind of players. They both got speed, But Tyreek Hill, I mean, the dude's built like a tank at his size, right? And Xavier Worthy is, broke the combine record, but he's also really, a lot smaller. So it's just, I don't know. They need the next guy, right? It's the next man up. And I think the Chiefs have been so comfortable for a while where they are. Have they prepared for the next guy up? Or it's always been, wow, Patrick Mahomes makes other people so much better than they are. But do you see the next guy on that roster that is going to be that? Because Patrick Mahomes, he can only do so much. It's just like if you said, Jamar Chase makes Joe Burrow better. I do agree, absolutely. Who wouldn't Jamar Chase make better? It's like Patrick Mahomes needs that guy, right? And there was a lot of times last year where I saw drops, right? Chiefs dealing with a lot of drops. They've been through a lot revolving door of just second and third receivers. Kadarius Toney, Sky Moore. I mean, just absolute, I don't want to say failures, but just they did not pan out, right? So the Chiefs, the front office has to figure out, and that's what's so weird is they still got to the Super Bowl last year on this one leg, right? Where they didn't have the offensive weapons that maybe Lamar Jackson has, right? Or the Steelers have, not anymore. But you know what I'm saying? These other teams that have huge parts. And that's why the Chiefs are great, right? They've still made it to the Super Bowl. But it's how long does that last? You get to the Super Bowl and you get waxed. So how long does it, and what? They won almost over half of their games last year, one-score victories, right? And it's good teams pull that out, but at the end, do you want to be that team or do you want to be the Eagles who are up 2 scores every game? So that's just my thought on it.
And we're talking a lot about the Chiefs here, but this is truly a testament to the Chargers, how they game planned, how Harbaugh coached, how Herbert got the boys to rally around them, and how they executed. So this is a testament to them and an applaud.
Yeah,
to them.
I want to say that the Chargers have Chiefs fan and NFL fans talking about the Chiefs. Should we be worried? So that's good. That's you broke the Chiefs week 1, right? So that's one of those things where it's the Chargers look good, and that's a franchise that has been dogged on by not just me, by everyone, right? Great times and some really low times, and times that are disappointing, right? Can this franchise pull it out? Can they pull a big win out, right? So, maybe this is the year. And Justin Herbert, I love Justin Herbert. I think he's a great guy. I think he's a great quarterback. He's great for the sport. But can he put it all together, right? They finally, maybe this is the year. I don't know. We'll see. Cool. Yeah, let's move on. I thought the Steelers, right? My boys, the Steelers looked great on one end offensively. Aaron Rodgers, everybody's saying he's back. I need another couple weeks to digest that. So he did look great. The defense, highest paid defense in the league, and over 30 to the Jets, right? So a little concerning. TJ Watt played awesome. Really, I mean, and when I talk about TJ Watt, I'm talking about a guy that, this is it's the whole Myles Garrett, TJ Watt, Trey Hendrickson. When you talk about those guys, Max Crosby, the difference in TJ Watt, besides those guys, other than the fact that he plays a different position, outside linebacker versus defensive end, but they all do the same thing, essentially running after the quarterback. He has this motor that doesn't stop, right? These other guys have power, they've got finesse moves, and TJ Watt has that, but it's just like a shark almost in the water, and when you watch it, he literally just has a motor that just runs. And his biggest asset, other than sacking the quarterback, dude, he's a monster in the run game. I mean, an absolute dog in the run game. He has, this technique to just slide around the offensive tackles, somehow get the running back in the backfield. And there was a couple close calls where he didn't get to Breece Hall this last Sunday, but it was so close, right? And there was times where he did get him. There was one play, I don't know if you saw this, but you guys need to go find this because it was awesome. He literally, Justin Fields did a really good handoff. It was a really good fake.
It was a read option.
Yeah, I thought Justin Fields had it. He got blown up by TJ Watt. I feel bad for him. And it was totally legal because you're allowed to do that. But oh my gosh, he hit the crap out of Justin Fields because that option was taken away, right? Now, he didn't have the ball, so it didn't count. But you ever seen that video of the Seahawks guy who thought he sacked Jared Goff and starts celebrating? Yeah, it wasn't like that, but that, same concept. God, dude, what was that guy? I just want to know, what I just know a bowling ball went down his gut whenever he turned around. I realized that it wasn't a sack, and an extremely late penalty. So, anyways, TJ Watt played great. Breece Hall played awesome. And I want to take this moment to talk about the Jets. The Jets played awesome. They did. Justin Fields learned how to play quarterback. And it was, I don't have anything against Justin Fields. I've been rooting for him. It's cool to see him finally, actually, figuring a system out. That's what I'll say. He's got the talent, always has. But can he figure out the system, right? Do they have a good system for him? He looked great. The Steelers had no answer for his running when he did it, and he chose really smart times. We really didn't have any chances to stop the passing that was there, right? And Jalen Ramsey looked great. Darius Slay had a really bad blown coverage. The Fitzpatrick, once again, a little presence was missing there, but the secondary didn't play bad at all. It was just a little, things here and there that was like, what are we doing? The front line looked horrible. Tall, great running back, but dude, he like Swiss cheese right up the middle. And Breece Hall's a great running back, but we're talking about a Jets offensive line this is like the 5th year of the Jets offensive line is being rebuilt, right? It's just every offseason the Jets offensive line is in question. They looked great. They looked awesome. Cam Hayward looked incredibly slow. He didn't play a whole lot of snaps, to be honest, and especially the start of the game, I'm like, where's Cam Hayward? So it was limited, and he looked slow. He looked uncomfortable, right? He had a pass defended, which he's great at that, but there was nothing up the middle, no penetration. So, I'm wondering, wow, is that, the holdout, is that worth it? Does that have an effect on him? And especially he's an older guy, so I don't know. It's a little disappointing as a Steelers fan, but on the good side, Steelers got the W. The Jets offense might be actually really good. I don't know. Maybe they just carved up the Steelers defense, who still could be good. So, yeah, great game, though. That was a really exciting game. We'll flip to some teams like the Panthers. I'm sorry, Alex. The Panthers just looked rough. And you tell me, is Bryce Young, is this time to press the panic button already?
No, Bryce Young's the guy. It's time to have some faith in the guy, okay? So, didn't mention in the first podcast because Brody was too busy talking about how much he loves the Steelers, but I am a Carolina Panthers fan. How he became a Steelers fan, I don't know. But when I was a child...
Do you want the rundown?
No, I don't. I really... Okay.
Hey, comment below. Let us know if you want my whole lineage of how I am a Steelers fan, an LSU fan, a West Virginia fan, an Orioles fan. None of those teams match, but Alex knows I am as loyal to them as ever. So if you want the rundown, let me know.
Well, you can blow up, Brody. How about that? Yeah, no. So yeah, I'm a Carolina Panthers fan. It was tough for me when I was a kid to get behind the Commanders. I remember when I was super young, Transformers 1 had came out, and that's one of my favorite movies of all time. After the movie or before the movie or something like that, I saw a news recap of Albert Haynesworth, the Washington Commanders, or Redskins back at the time, still gonna try and be proper. At the time, stomping on a player or doing something mean. And I didn't like that, and it made me sad, and I was only 5 or 6 anyways. And it was a hard team to root for. I went to one game when I was a kid. It was the Eagles versus the Command, and it was 6-3 or 3-0. It was Donovan McNabb as the quarterback for the Redskins. It was one of the worst games I've ever seen in my life, and I have no memory of it. There was Eagles fans behind me just saying the worst stuff that you can imagine. Meanwhile, I'm 4'6" sitting there. What are we doing here, guys? Good Lord. Let's have a little decorum. Let's have a little class. But they do it different in Philly.
Little baby Alex turned around and said, guys, time out. Guys, stop saying cuss words. No more using cuss words.
I was from that point on, it was hard to get behind the Redskins at the time, and I didn't like them and all that kind of stuff. And my favorite player at the time was Steve Smith Sr., and my favorite player in college was Cam Newton. And Cam Newton hadn't yet come along in 2007. But I was having a blast watching the Panthers play. Whenever they were on Fox or CBS or whichever, I don't know. I was always like, Panthers! I love the Panthers! And we always vacationed to Carolina every year. So I was like, that's my team. It's been a horrible decision for that to be my team. I could have chosen so much better. I should have chosen the Ravens. They were right there. They're right there. They're just up the road.
I'm
I
so
could have.
glad you didn't. I'm so glad you didn't choose the Ravens. You made the
But
right choice.
to be fair, and this is nothing against Joe Flacco because I actually really think he's still a good quarterback, and he was great in Baltimore, and they won the Super Bowl, all that. It's miserable watching him play. It was miserable watching him play in Baltimore. It was boring. AFC North football. When I was a kid, I loved college football. I loved offense. AFC North football is the epitome of no throwing the ball. It is just run for 3 yards, run for 3 yards. Maybe we'll play action and then run for 4 yards, and we're going to take 8 minutes per possession. And if it's not going to be a touchdown or a score in that 8 minute possession, it's going to be a punt or a
Yeah,
turnover.
why do you think Ben Roethlisberger owned all of the AFC North whenever he played?
It's because he had the reincarnation of the steel curtain running everybody down for him. Now, Ben
Yeah,
Roethlisberger was good. It was a miserable choice to choose the Carolina Panthers. Now, back to the subject. Bryce Young is still the guy. Okay? We just got to give him time. Dave Canales is working his magic, okay? The Jacksonville Jaguars did a really good job of getting pressure. You still have Joshua Hines-Allen. You still have Trayvon Walker. These guys are good pass rushers, okay? He's just got to make better decisions. He's got to see over the line a little bit better. He's got to read the defense a little bit better. It was a great start for Tet McMillan. If he had 2 more yards, I would have won $600, but that's neither here nor there. Uh,
don't
I had
bet. You'll end up like Alex.
him up like, okay.
Don't announce your finances or people will come get you. I'll ask you to buy my lunch next time.
I made like $27 this weekend. That's it, bro.
That looks like B-dubs to me.
BW3s! Hey, Buffalo Wild Wings, we are a new podcast, but we are taking sponsorship applications if you want to.
B-dubs, if you want to sponsor us, man, we eat there every time we're in Morgantown together. B-dubs is the place. You know what? We'll even host a show from B-dubs.
Exactly. Hey, and you know what? We'll still pay for the food while we're there.
We will. We'll leave a good tip. There you go. So, yeah, I have to say, as an NFL fan, I don't know. It's concerning. It's Young, he comes out from last year looking really good at the end of the year. It's like, okay, you guys do need to get this guy a shot, right? And what a good guy. I mean, he's waited and heard it all. People have been so rude, so whatever, classless. And he's had the utmost class, which is great. However, it's concerning. First game of the season, you're like, Bryce Young started off, had a really nice end of the year. It's kind of like Aaron Rodgers last year, right? Like Aaron Rodgers finished really well, and then he started really well this year. Bryce Young, no. And the thing is, you're like, he's got to see over the line better. What do you want, a step stool out over there to see over the line? It's just not going to happen, right? You can't automatically see over the line. Same thing with Garrett Green. Shout out Garrett Green from West Virginia. Awesome quarterback. It just wasn't happening because, I don't know, it's like me standing behind a 6'5" lineman. I can't really see over the line. So, and that's why there's very few shorter side quarterbacks, right? You have Drew Brees, you have Kyler Murray, you have guys that succeed very rarely at that height, right? You just need a little bit more, the bigger frame guys we're talking about. So I don't know. That was a little concerning. We'll move to the final game we'll focus on. A lot of great games this weekend. Week 1, so it's kind of hard to overreact. Joe Burrow looked terrible, but he did get sacked a bunch. So it's just, I don't know. There's a bunch of games you could go back and forth on, but you got to let these teams play out. Drake May didn't have the greatest showing. Cam Ward didn't have the greatest showing. Ashton Denty, 19 carries for, 38 yards?
And 43 yards after contact, though. What does that say?
Yeah, no, it does, and he had a touchdown. And, I think Ashton Genty's going to be a star. I think he is a absolute stud at running back. I'm like a running back aficionado. I love running backs. So I do think from what I've seen, one of the most talented runners I've ever seen in my life. I think he's going to need some time, but my Lord, that Raiders offensive line is going to have to put in the work.
Well, so what's it called? You and I love to play GM, I have a completely differing philosophy on running backs than you do. A running back is only as good as his offensive line. I think Ashton Genty has the potential, if you put him on the Eagles' offensive line right now, or in front of Baltimore's offensive line right now, where Saquon and Derrick Henry... I mean, did you see the holes Derrick Henry had that game? Gigantic.
Yeah, to go off of that, I do agree. It's half and half. So your point, I'll address mine, and then you can go back to what you're saying. I do agree that the offensive line... There is no running back without the offensive line, right? Why do you think Miles Sanders looked great on the Eagles and now he's like a third string, right? That's no offense to Miles Sanders, but like that's just how it is. Saquon Barkley, amazing athlete, but now he's on top of the NFL because one season with the Eagles, and look what you get. You get a record breaking, well, not record, but you know what I'm saying, 2,000 yards, right? Huge seasons. It's just, but my other side that I will always stand on, you put Ashton Denty in the backfield, right? Guy's super talented. Uh, but you put, I don't know, let's put Jalen Warren, right, from the Steelers in the backfield, same backfield. You give Ashton Genty 19 snaps, he gets 37, 38 yards, whatever. You put Jalen Warren back there, 19 snaps. How many yards does he have? I think it's significantly less than Ashton Genty just because of the kind of runner they are. So, and this comes from watching Najee Harris on the Steelers. Insanely talented, athletic running back. Not the fastest, but the dude can hurdle whoever he wants. He can juke, he can stiff arm. You watch guys like that, and number one, Najee Harris couldn't do a whole lot. He did a lot with the offensive line he had, but he couldn't do what he should have because the offensive line didn't produce. That being said, do we have our backup running backs? Does Jalen Warren run for 1,000 yards like Najee Harris does, right? Well, it's a what-if question because he didn't get that many snaps, whatever. Different runners. But Saquon Barkley on the Giants, the only reason he was able to make himself a name on the Giants with that bad of an offensive line is because he's Saquon Barkley. Because he can get in the open field, juke people out. His negative 1 yard runs end up being like maybe a 2 yard gain because he's able to get out of stuff. So it goes hand in hand. You got to have a good offensive line, but I do think, and not just anybody, right? You know, you look at Austin Eckler, great out of the backfield catching, a very versatile running back, not just a straight ahead runner though. So you put Austin Eckler back in the backfield, is he going to have the same outcome as Saquon Barkley? No, probably not, because they're two different kind of running backs. But I do think the offensive line, you can't do anything on the offensive line. However, it's even nicer to have somebody like Ashton Genty. I don't even know. You can go back to college. The Leonard Fournette, the Derrick Henry of college. You know, those offensive lines where it's like, is this offensive line even that good? Or is it like genuinely this running back creates that space, creates that, you know, the opportunity after the run? So yes, go back to what you're saying, but I do agree. Offensive line is there's nothing without it.
Well, so part of my philosophy is, and I'm not sure if you agree, I will, if I were to ever be a GM, which I know I will not be, but if I were, I would never draft a running back in the first round. Ever. Ever. You could draft a wide receiver. The fall off from wide receiver from round to round to round is significant. The fall off from offensive linemen, you're talking the big boys, okay, is significant. You look at what Olu Fashanu did for the Jets on Sunday. That was their 9th overall pick last year or 2 years ago. I mean, he did a good job. He did a pretty solid job. And it's unfortunate Elijah Vera Tucker, in a contract year, had a season-ending injury in preseason. But that's what I'm looking at. Like, you've got to have the offensive line before you draft a running back. And I think about Virginia Tech running back Khalil Herbert, who I believe is on the Bengals now.
Yeah, he's not where he obviously started with the Bears and had a few really good games with the Bears actually.
Exactly, and that's my point. He was able to, turn it up. When I don't think it was DeAndre Swift. Maybe it was DeAndre Swift.
I think it was Montgomery at that point.
Yeah, when he got hurt, Herbert filled in, and he did a good job, and he had really good yards per carry. He was efficient, he was elusive, all that kind of stuff, and it was behind a decent Bears offensive line. I think about with the situation Genty's in, I worry about him being another Trent Richardson. And this is no disrespect to Trent Richardson at all. I thought Trent Richardson was going to be one of the best backs ever coming out of Alabama. He was so highly touted. What did he go, 3? 2?
Yeah, insanely high.
And I worry that Ashton Genty, who built his name up at Boise State because he was so physical as a runner and how many yards he had after contact. I mean, think about how many yards he had. And then if you take those yards and just do yards after contact, I think he's still top 3 in yards for the season in all of college football. It's insane. But if those what are broken tackles in college are big hits in the NFL. And if the offensive line isn't able to come up clutch for him and lay the holes out for him to cut through, burst out of, I worry that he is a one-shot wonder.
Yeah. No, I'll say one thing and then we'll move on. I agree. I agree you make valid points, and I really do agree with you. My only thing, I would draft a running back in the first round, but there are significant, like, there's items and attributes I'm looking for, right? So a guy like Ashton Genty, I'm willing to take that risk, right? That is a guy that you know, I mean, like 10 out of 10 on everything you look at, right? You got the skill, you got the athleticism, you got the strength, you got the speed. It's just electric, right? Leonard Fournette coming out of college. Leonard Fournette didn't have the greatest NFL career. Now, he started off fantastic, ended up winning a Super Bowl, huge part of the Tampa Bay team. Love Leonard Fournette. So he had, at the end of the day, he got what he wanted, right? Should have been way bigger, but part of that is the Jacksonville situation didn't work out like it should have. Once again, they didn't buy into it, right? You got a great running back, a new rookie running back like that. First 2 seasons, phenomenal, right? Comes out of the gate running, and you don't really, build yourself around that guy. But Leonard Fournette, I think he was literally pick 4, right? He's a top 5 pick. So, which is crazy because he got that was after his like almost Heisman season, which I could have a whole nother episode about that, and we will at some point, because Leonard Fournette is my favorite college player of all time. I mean, a man amongst boys. That's the same season him and Derrick Henry were going head to head. But it's funny, Derrick Henry went that year, right? He's a year older. He went that year in the second round.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I think pick 42.
I don't even know how that happens.
To the
I
Titans.
don't know how that happens.
Because you look at Derrick Henry versus Leonard Fournette, 2 completely different players, right? Leonard Fournette in college, this electric, athletic, like literally, trucking machine. Derrick Henry also insanely athletic, but it's a different running back. It's almost like a bulldozer versus like, I don't know, a Lamborghini with a little fork lift on the front, right? Like, they're just different kind of players, right? Yeah, it's like get out of my way maybe, but I'm also driving 90. But Derrick Henry, I don't know how that happened, and the fact that he waited around a little bit in Tennessee, that's what's so funny. Derrick Henry didn't shoot out of the gate at Tennessee. It's like they didn't want him to have that chance yet, right? If you go look at his stats, his first year, it's crazy. It wasn't like Derrick Henry's drafted and he's like hitting the ground running, right? It took like a while. In the moment, I'll tell you the exact moment, and everybody, our fans watching this, the moment he broke out was the 99-yard run that he had from, I think it might have been Jacksonville. And everybody's like, oh my gosh, that's Derrick Henry from Alabama. Insanely, like, the dude's got it in the NFL. Do you see him? Go ahead and read the stats while we're at it.
You are right.
It's weird, dude. It's weird. Read it. So I think he was pick 42 in the draft.
He was, yeah, let me go look. Pick 45.
45.
490 yards his rookie year. Sophomore season, 744. Third season, the year he had the 99-yard run, was 1,060 yards, 12 touchdowns. And his next year was right when he elevated to 1,540, 16 touchdowns. And the next year he went for
honestly,
2,000.
Dude, it's crazy. People don't like realize, and he's gonna end up finishing as, I don't know, maybe a top 5 running back the way he's playing now, but minus the fumble. It's just like, people don't realize that he really didn't come out of the gate firing, right? So, and it was funny whenever he had that huge, I'm watching that game, the 99-yard touchdown he had, it was huge. And I just was like, oh my gosh, where's Derrick Henry been, dude? Like, I remember watching him in college, a monster. And I guess NFL teams were just like, we'll pass. Maybe he's run his tires, the tread on the tires is broken, right? Whatever. Weird. But back on the conversation, Derrick Henry, Leonard Fournette, Jonathan Taylor, I believe he was a second-round pick. And Jonathan Taylor went for 2K yards twice in college. Ridiculous. One of the top running backs ever in college with Wisconsin. And look at him. He almost had a 2K season in the NFL. So some of these scouts... Yeah,
you gotta think, what other Wisconsin running backs are there? Big ones.
We've got Melvin Gordon that's come out of there. I mean, I guess, well, not big now, but Braylon Allen is from Wisconsin on the Jets now. Give me a couple other names.
What's the big one? I'm thinking about the big one here. Here, I'll just give it to you. Monte Ball in college.
Okay, yeah.
That's a name. Monte Ball in college at the time was considered to be maybe the back of like the decade. He was electric. I mean, it was like Thanksgiving. He would just eat up all the yards. Everything he did. But then you look at the way these Wisconsin running backs transitioned to the NFL. Melvin Gordon was good for the Chargers. Was he great? Was he great? No, but he was a top 10 guy for a couple of seasons. Absolutely. Very efficient, good pass catcher. And I think he's the high point of what Wisconsin football looked like prior to Jonathan Taylor getting drafted. Monte Ball was not that guy in the NFL. And
Yeah.
I think NFL teams look at systems and look at track records from colleges and go, man, this looks like the exact same book I just read. Like, I don't know if I can get tempted into getting this right now.
Yeah.
And I think that's why Jonathan Taylor fell. Hindsight, that's probably why Derrick Henry fell. You got to look Eddie Lacy, T.J. Yeldon, Trent Richardson. A lot of these guys kind of went to the background
I
pretty
think
quick in the
they're
NFL.
probably thinking honestly that like Alabama's got a system, right? Everybody, Najee Harris, right, at Alabama, the dude's insane. And now I love Najee Harrison. He only NFL running back to ever start his career with 4 straight 1,000-yard seasons, and that is behind dog crap is a nice word compared to what this Steelers offensive line was, right? Even this last Sunday, it's even worse, and that whole nother conversation. But I mean, Najee Harris deserves his flowers for the last 4 years. Now, I don't know what his career is going to look like going on. There's some things that could have done better. The speed isn't there, but we didn't draft him to make 80-yard runs. We drafted Najee Harris because he was the top running back available. Insane athleticism, right? People compare him to like a mini Derrick Henry. He got like Saquon athleticism, the way he can hurdle over people, juke people. It's crazy. But you have to get Najee Harris in the right system, and he was in a great system at Alabama. You know why? Because they utilized him in space. And that's just something the Steelers didn't do. I hope he finds that with the Chargers. I hope wherever he goes, that is something that they utilize. But I honestly think they saw Derrick Henry and they're like, man, this guy's awesome. He's a mean mother. I mean, the dude just runs through people. But it's a system, so, he'll probably just get slow in the NFL, right? He'll start eating his weight, whatever. I don't know what they saw. It's Derrick Henry. And I saw him in college, and it wasn't cool. It was horrible as an LSU fan. But once again, I will say, I could have ran for a lot of yards behind that offensive line. My Lord, they were insane. Yeah, try to picture that. Yeah, I think we'll end this running back conversation. This is a great conversation to have, though, because I do think running backs have heavily become devalued in the NFL, and I think it's wrong. I think it's wrongfully devalued. Now, they have a short lifespan. We've got the Todd Gurleys. We've got, a lot of guys that just Eddie Lacy, right?
Devonta Freeman.
These short stints of like, wow, they're so good. 4 years later, my favorite running back's gone and retired from the league. Or as Booger would say, one Popeye's biscuit away from being a tight end. So,
Booger McFarland.
Hey, LSU legend. So it's hard to judge a running back, right? Because college is such a different game too, right? These guys that are like, oh, that's a man amongst boys. And then they get to the NFL. It's like, well, now he's just a boy, amongst men. So it's a tough conversation. But that being said, running backs can't be devalued, right? Although you might get, 6 great years out of a running back. That's 6 great years of, touching the ball, 400 times a season? That's just ridiculous, right? And those guys deserve the flowers, right? I know it's short-lived, but they deserve the love and the support, right? And I'm not even talking money here. Money's a completely different concept that I don't even want to think about what they're getting paid, right? I'm just talking about people who don't value the running back position. You value the running back position, but it is tough, right? You have to have many things to work. Don't draft a running back unless you have the offensive line. Cough Steelers. Don't draft, guys that, might not work in the system. That maybe they have something else that worked in college that your NFL team doesn't have. So there's a lot of factors that go into it, but I do think they're important at the end of the day. I think you can't put somebody behind the line that, isn't suitable for that, right? You have to have that system. You got to have the guys that are there to work, be athletic. So yeah, that's what I have to say. Unless you have anything to add, we'll move on.
I think you did a really good job. You talked about Derrick Henry. We could also talk about how he played against the Bills this past weekend.
Yeah, we'll touch on that real quick.
Game of the week.
Insane. Week 1. Are you kidding me? Like what?
I went on Twitter. I saw some people comparing this game to the Rams Chiefs game a couple years back. I wouldn't say it's quite that good, but it was pretty damn good. Josh Allen played lights out. He played like he just got engaged, and his cheeks are still red and rosy because he knows he's going home to Haley Steinfeld. Lamar Jackson, I feel bad because he played lights out. Derrick Henry hit all the holes he needed to, except one. And it looked like there was a lot of luck on the side of Buffalo with that little tip towards the end and getting Derrick Henry to fumble. Obviously, it's not luck. You were able to get a little punch out or push him into an awkward position. But Electric game. Great game.
Yeah, so it's funny. Now I sound like a bad NFL fan when I say this, but I went to bed. I'm keeping up with Josh Allen on fantasy. He's my fantasy quarterback. I go to bed, 7 minutes left. 7 minutes left. I think it's literally like 7:52 on the clock. The Ravens have the ball. It's what? The score is 40-25. I'm like, game's over. Whatever, right? I watched up until that, and then I went to bed. I regret going to bed. But I will say, holy moly, I wake up to Josh Allen, a nice crispy 30 points on fantasy. I wake up to watching the Ravens lose, another great aspect of my morning. And then I wake up to an awesome highlight tape. So, gosh, dude, week one, electric. Two teams that will definitely be slugging it out later in the year. They're both teams that are just going to be. It just shows the resilience of Buffalo. And when I'm watching that team, it just makes me realize how. I mean, dude, you take Josh Allen out of that team, there is no Buffalo Bills. Like Bill is gone. It's just Buffalo. I don't know. It's like Josh Allen, and I used to want to not like Josh Allen because he was so good, right? Just like whenever everybody's good and they beat your team, I'm like, no, I don't like you. I can't. I can't. He's so nice to people outside of NFL world. But he's just such a good player. I can't ignore it anymore. Insanely good player. Lamar Jackson. I watch him every year. Now I don't think Lamar Jackson. He doesn't play great against the Steelers. It's weird. He had a really good year last year against the Steelers. But before that, more interceptions than touchdowns. And part of that is AFC North football. It's different football. But we'll see if Lamar Jackson. He's going to be pissed off. He had a little shoving match with the fan, which I think it's hard to judge because the fan got banned. Obviously, I don't know if you saw that he was pushing the helmet, tapping, and then pushing the helmets, right? But Lamar Jackson, you can't shove somebody. This isn't Meta World Peace. This isn't where you go charge somebody in the stands. You can't do that. I'm sorry, you can't. You cannot. You can't let that stuff. And it's weird. I'm a couch potato over here, couch quarterback saying this stuff, but you can't.
Keyboard warrior.
Yeah, you can't It's the same as Jalen Carter stuff, right? You can't let that stuff affect you. Whatever Dak Prescott said to Jalen Carter, I don't care. You can't let it affect you, right? And this guy's not even on the field. So just for Lamar Jackson's sake, dude, you're just going to get yourself in trouble, right? You got to, whatever it is. I don't know if it's take a 10-second break. I know it's hard. First instinct is slug the guy. That's my first instinct. Whatever. You're also in Buffalo, which has some of the biggest, fans in the world. Don't mess with the players on the field. And Lamar Jackson, for the sake of NFL fans and you, don't shove fans. You're just going to get yourself in trouble. Not like Lamar Jackson's listening to this, but you know what I'm saying. Cool. So I am excited about the NFL, and there's a lot of teams that still have to prove some stuff. A lot of question marks week one. That's what it's for. And that's why I can't believe we got what we did with the Bills and Ravens game. So we got lucky.
It's funny. It's funny too, Brody. Watching that game, it's the last thing we'll touch on in that game. I feel maybe better about the Ravens than I do the Bills. Which is a weird thing to say, maybe the wrong thing to say. Up until those last two drives where, when the Ravens had to play, let's think about how we punch the clock. We run the clock down, and before Derrick Henry's fumble, whatever they wanted, they got it. It wasn't difficult. Everybody was wide open. Zay Flowers was running track. Derrick Henry was running sprints. Lamar Jackson you saw how bright that grill was. He was smiling all day long. First 55 minutes, cheesing for it was easy. And then the Bills came back, and all credit to the Bills. Absolutely phenomenal game by them. And this is a horrible thing to say, and it might not make sense. It looked like they had to try really hard, which obviously they did, but it looked like everything was hard for them, but they were still able to do it, which is a testament to them and how they're able to overcome adversity and all that kind of stuff, like the tip with Keon Coleman I mentioned earlier. But everything for the Ravens came extremely easy to them, except the defense. Defense didn't do a good job, but I'm talking offensive here.
Yeah.
So I walk out of that game going, damn, Ravens lost, but I think I feel better about the Ravens than I do the Bills. Because the Ravens will figure it out.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Ravens, and like you said, I honestly think the part about you saying it was hard, they were playing hard. I think that's the Bills. I think that is going to be their life heading forward because you have a playmaker at quarterback like no other, right? Otherworldly. but you don't have the guys around him to just match that otherworldliness. It's literally Josh Allen making this stuff happen. And the Bills have some incredible players, right? But, dude, it's not going to happen unless you have that, the guy they have at quarterback. And they are going to have to work hard for it, right? You don't have number one wide receivers to match across the league. You don't have the wide receiver twos to match across the league. Two great tight ends. So, yes, they're working really hard. They're gonna have to the rest of the season. But it kind of worries me about the Ravens because they looked great offensively, but like same thing with the Steelers. Was it because they're playing Josh Allen, or is it because their defense was just straight up not playing up to par? So I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, great recap. We'll talk more about it next week. I actually want to let's shift gears here. We're gonna shift gears. Okay, now with the time we have, let's go ahead and jump to. We're gonna talk about some music now. Cool. So we just had MTV Awards, whatever. A lot of cool, current things going on. Sabrina Carpenter on top of the world still. Did you get a chance to listen to her?
I didn't. No, I did not.
You didn't listen to her new album?
I didn't, but I'm kind of on an 80s, 90s kick right now.
Then you would like it. It's a little bit of ABBA and ELO, like her other stuff, mixed with like some 80s stuff. It's actually kind of odd.
You can dance!
Yeah, it's kind of odd.
Okay.
There's some serious 80s stuff mixed on it. But yeah, she's once again on top of the world, making great music. There's a few things that are maybe a little overdone. I'm talking about the content and lyrics here, as I'm pretty sure we can all guess. But you know what? It works for her. So, but Jack Antonoff, the producer, as a musician, it's really cool to see some of the things he's doing. Once again, you can't go wrong if you're trying to do the whole ABBA sound, the ELO sounds, guys that bands that he credits for his inspiration for producing this stuff. And it's really cool to see, right? I love old music. I love classic music. I like new music too. The blend of those is really well done with Sabrina Carpenter's music. There's some other new artists that nobody's reinventing the wheel. That's not the way it happens, right? But it is cool to see an artist maybe take something and make their own of it, right? Bruno Mars does this beautifully. He'll take funk influences, soul influences, obviously with Silk Sonic. That's the whole album. And it's amazing. And me and Alex have had great conversation about this where he comes up to me with this song and I'm like, this is amazing. This sounds like Tower Power, right? This sounds like Barry White. And then you're like, well, give me more of that. And I give you a few songs, right? It's this really cool thing where we can trade off. And to our viewers here, I'm a huge classic music fan, right? That includes classic funk, soul, jazz, classic rock, pop. Alex has great knowledge of that too. But Alex is also my guy. He can come to me with something maybe more modern that I'm not as trained on, right? So we can kind of transition off. And I'll get it started here with this conversation of, I remember we're talking about modulations for theory class our freshman year at West Virginia. And I go. I
still have it.
There you go. And I go, have you heard Can't Smile Without You by Barry Manilow? And he goes, no, I don't know that song. So I play it for him. Dude, you love that song. And I was like,
I can't smile without you.
He loved that song. And I was like, that is awesome. That's something I can share with my friend. You know what you brought to me? Do you remember the song you told me to listen to?
Which one?
The Beyonce song.
Oh, that one's just like
but I had never really I'd heard it a thousand times before. But you tell me we're learning about modulations. And for those who don't know about modulations, you're going to a new key. You're setting a new tone, right? You're transitioning. It's a pivot, right? You're transitioning to one key to another key. It's a really cool effect. In music, it's like a new stage. Or maybe you take it back home, right? It's a really cool setting in music. And when you start paying attention to the modulations in music, they're like world-shattering. You're like, this is like even better than I thought. So yeah, that's something that honestly brought us closer as friends. So, but on that point, me and Alex learn a lot from each other. Yeah, what do you got? Yeah, there you go. Hold it up there. Yeah, so as you can see, we got some figured bass. You have a lot of modulations going on. A lot of good stuff. So yeah, don't be a music major. I'm just kidding. Be a music major. It's great. You'll do stuff like that. That's your future. You're looking at it. So, no, I'm kidding. There's a lot more to it. But yeah, we'll transition off of that, and we'll go to, me and Alex want to talk about some of our favorite singers of all time. Now, when we talk about singers, we're talking about, specifically the voice of a band, the solo singers, whatever it is to you, whatever, maybe something that's influenced you. And I have a few in mind, but I'll let you start off. So guys, we're going to count down our top 5 singers of all time. Now, this isn't bands, this is strictly the voice, right? Cool. So, or it can be the singer of a band. So we're going to trade off. We're going to go Alex's fifth being the bottom of that list. Nothing's going to be bottoms here on these lists, though. They're all going to be gas. So it's really hard to choose from, but you go ahead and start us out.
Yeah, so I've got 2 for my number 5 spot, and this is the only time I'm going to touch on older music. I did a lot of modern artists. I got Frank Sinatra in the 5, and I've got him partnered with Whitney Houston. Those are my 2 favorite oldest singers. One guy, one gal. I personally love crooner music. When I have to perform for school, I do a lot of crooner music. That's kind of my realm. I'm not a high voice singer, so he kind of helps me out there. And then Whitney Houston. We talked about modulations here. So don't make me close. Cut that out. Cut that out. Cut that out. But that song, I Have Nothing, is one of the greatest songs of all time. It's a little too high, clearly, but I just wanted to say that she's probably one of my favorite older artists of all time, and Frank Sinatra is probably my favorite older artist as well. So off to you, Brody. Let's see what you got, bud.
Yeah, I'm going to start this list off now. Once again, I'm going to have a lot of classic names on here. I could easily put a lot of names on here that Alex already has on his list. We'll get to that. But I'm going to start mine off here. Steve Walsh. Now, to those who don't know Steve Walsh, the lead singer of Kansas. Okay? Obviously, Carry On Wayward Son, everybody knows that. Dust in the Wind. But if you don't know who Steve Walsh is, please go listen to the Point of No Return album, the entire album. It will give you a great demonstration. But to all the listeners, everybody knows Carry On My Wayward Son. Fantastic vocals. And that song is so cool that there's a lot of things going on in that song. You might not even be thinking about the voice. Literally the voice of, his voice is just so soothing to me. It's got the perfect edginess, the rasp, the pipes of absolutely wailing on a note. Insane. Just, and on top of that, a great performer, right? And a lot of the guys I have on my list, actually all of them are from bands that I love, but a few of them have awesome solo careers that even solidify that, right? So these are guys that there's a lot of people, unfortunately, that have great bands, and then they're like, well, I'm going to do a solo career, and it's just never the same.
You put Sting in there? You got Sting in there anymore?
No. Sting is great, though. Sting is his own unique thing. And once again, insanely popular as a solo artist. And he has his own stuff going on. And the dude's been so, I'll say, lucrative and smart about his career. But that being said, Steve Walsh from Kansas, underrated. Absolutely. That's going to be my number 5 spot. So we'll pivot off that. Go to number 4.
You're not going to like my number 4, but it is Justin Bieber.
Okay, you explain first. I'm going to say I like Justin Bieber. I'm not sure about the 4 spot, but yeah, go ahead.
I'm a believer. Okay, let's not get that twisted. All right, always have been, always will. Maybe not of nobody likes the Baby song. It's not really that bad of a song, to be honest. But
back off.
You like it?
Yeah, I like it. What do you mean? Do I like Baby? Yeah, I like Baby. Hey, I have a girlfriend, and she also loves that song, so you mess with the bull, get the horns, buddy. Yeah, no, but I get what you're saying. It's not as, serious to you, and it's a different kind of Justin Bieber than he was, 10 years later, so I get it.
And you're talking about girlfriend. You ever heard that song, Boyfriend? Girl.
If I was your boyfriend. Yeah. So there's classic Justin Bieber, Never Say Never, right? But
yeah.
Continue.
And this past album that he just came out with, he worked with McGee, who's an artist himself, and they did a phenomenal job. I'm a big fan of the song Daisies, if you haven't heard that. It's a killer song. But think about just purely voice and voice alone. I'm not talking about music. There's other people who have got better songs by a mile. That's a given. I don't think anybody's calling Justin Bieber the songwriter of a lifetime, but purely as a voice, it's something to behold a little bit. So he's in my 4.
I mean, that's a great addition, though. That's different because the songs were bangers, right? We're in that 2010 pop era, but as he's matured, his voice has too, and he's gotten better with time. So it's good to see him making music, though. Number 4, I'm gonna go with a deep track, a name that maybe you guys don't know, Glenn Shirok. Now, Glenn Chirac is the singer of the Little River Band, what he's known for. Reminiscing, Lady, and this band has multiple lead singers, right? Guys that always sang on their songs. But Glenn Chirac, love Glenn Chirac. There's actually been a clip surfacing right now between yacht rock popularity and whatever of John Farnham singing Reminiscing, which is phenomenal. And that's the guy, that's the guy who came in and took over for a while after Glenn Chirac left. Australian legend, they all are, but John Farnham is like the Elvis of Australia, and he came in and absolutely killed that job. Killer voice. But Glenn Chirac, for me, absolutely unreal. Just a man of a voice. You listen to it, it's got toughness, it's got grit. And the greatest part for me, his voice is in my range. So, like, I can sing in the car whenever he's singing. Now, unless we get to the next range. But his regular mid-range voice, a lot of the verses, they're right in my range. Right in my sweet spot. I'm able to sing them. One of my favorite voices. It's just so soothing. Once again, that band has multiple singers that are able to harmonize. One of the best harmony groups of all time. Many reasons I love the Little River Band. But Glenn Chirac, go listen to him. Amazing voice. Cool. Number 3, Alex.
Chris Stapleton. Love him. I'm a big grovel guy. I like a guy who can get it into his chest a bit and kind of push. You talk about soul. He knows how to use his runs well. He knows how to attack a melisma. He knows how to do all of that. He's just got, his timbre, his tone is amazing. It's excellent.
So tell me, with Chris Stapleton, and this is tough because I could have put a bunch. I love country music. I know Alex has this country music that you like. There's a couple voices I could have put in here. That being of, I'm a huge, advocate for Morgan Wallen's voice. I love Morgan Wallen's voice. Extreme twang to it. There's people that hate it. Whatever. You got the twang to it. Luke Combs, dude. That's like a warm blanket. I'm like, oh, Luke Combs, he's here. There's people that will hate Luke Bryan, right? But you know it's Luke Bryan every time he opens his mouth. Chris Stapleton, among them all. A new artist, Megan Moroney. I actually like Megan Moroney. She's got a gravelly voice, especially for a girl, and I think that's awesome. Lainey Wilson, extreme twang. We're talking the twangiest of twang here. But yeah, there's a lot of guys in this country realm, right, that we could name that have phenomenal voices. I will say, like, recognizable voices. But among them all, We're Not Worthy, Chris Stapleton. I mean, the guy, what else do we need to say? It's Chris Stapleton, so.
I mean, what's crazy is wasn't a big country fan really most of my life. He made me like country. If anybody's looking into a gateway, like, hey, I'm really struggling to listen to this stuff, or, like, my girlfriend really likes country, or my mom really likes country, and you don't know what to listen to get into it, Chris Stapleton. Chris Stapleton, he sows the seed. He intertwines lines. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, highly.
It's very bluesy, soul, and then country. I mean, it's killer.
Yeah, highly agree. Cool. All right, are we ready for our number 3? I'm going to keep it, basically all of mine are going with the classic rock vein. There's a lot of, and as an avid classic rock listener, it's hard not to. The 70s was the era of The Voice. I mean, literally, front man, nothing cooler. And there's honorable mentions I could go. We'll get to some honorable mentions that didn't quite make the list. But I'm going to go Brad Delp, lead singer of Boston. Now, everybody knows Boston. Everybody knows More Than a Feeling. You got Peace of Mind, Foreplay Long Time. The absolute classic hits that won't be mistaken. But to all of our maybe listeners who don't know the discography of Boston, everyone knows More Than a Feeling. And if you don't know that, you need to listen to it now. Brad Delp changed, literal frontman singing. You have guys before him. You got Robert Plant with Led Zeppelin. You got Steven Tyler from Aerosmith. All of these voices I could have put in this list. But Brad Delp, holy moly. I mean, the guy could go, whatever octave you think is high, think one above that, and that's what Brad Delp sings in. Ridiculous. Literally, the voice of Boston. There's two things when you think about Boston. Guitar, because the guitar is the sound of the band, and there is no Boston without Brad Delp, right? But the reason why Brad Delp is above that is because you take Brad Delp away from Boston, there's no Boston. He is the voice. It's almost like Creedence Clearwater. You take John Fogerty, he is Creedence Clearwater, right? Jeff Lynne with ELO. He is ELO, right? The voice of the band. And that's something that, that's what it is with Brad Delp. Insanely good vocalist, a very tragic end to his life that is still kind of a mystery. Regardless, insanely great talent. like I said, one of the voices of the '70s, one of the voices of all time. So go check out Brad Delp if you don't know him. But we'll go to number 2 here, Alex. What do you got?
I think I'm gonna go with a little surprise here. I'm gonna go with Tori Kelly.
Oh, uh, go ahead. Yeah.
Tori Kelly is one of the greatest vocalists of all time. What she's able to do with her voice, what she's able to pull from, utilize her tonal memory. That is, if you ever want to know what tonal memory is, watch Jacob Collier's video with him giving her the notes. To Tori Kelly. It's an incredibly difficult song, and it's Tori Kelly hearing it, singing it, hearing the next one, singing it, no breaks in between. I don't think people realize how insanely difficult that is with the music that she was given by Jacob Collier.
I also
She's
want
got
to I want to give Jacob Collier a round of applause because everybody that video is amazing and I watch it all the time. Tori Kelly, insane, and the fact that she says that like she doesn't usually do this. She's like, I don't really do this a whole lot, and I'm like, quit playing. Like you literally are just riffing notes. But Jacob Collier is literally singing her. It's ridiculous. He's like, okay, now this one, and he equally is able to just riff it. And I'm like, the whole point of the video, it's like Tori Kelly, insanely just unreal. But then on the other hand, we have Jacob Collier literally feeding her these harmonies, and I'm like, how are you even coming up with these? So that video is insane. You need to go watch that video to those who haven't seen that. But yeah, Tori Kelly, dude.
she's great.
Is there anything else to say with that? I mean,
That's about it. You want to go listen to that song? It's a rendition of Bridge Over Troubled Water. It's great. It's got John Legend in it, and it's got Yeba in it, and it's got Jacob Collier. There's no instrumentation, which is kind of cool. Jacob Collier is the instrumentation. It's one of the best songs you'll ever hear in your life. I'm currently listening to Paper Hearts. It's an older song by Tori Kelly. One of the best songs. It's just a slow, gradual build, and it's just her, working on her craft, and she knows what she's doing, and she does it well.
hey, there's about to be a Tori Kelly Jr., a second coming of Tori Kelly. She's gonna have a baby, so
I know. Congrats.
yeah. So yeah. Anyways, Tori Kelly, and it's funny. I saw an interview with her. Me and my sister have loved Tori Kelly ever since she was like came to the spotlight. And whenever she did sing, obviously she's the elephant voice and insane. But there's a reporter that asked her what she thinks of all the hate that the elephant got, especially for the happy birthday scene. And she's like, at the end of the day, it's literally an elephant, animated elephant, and I'm just singing the voice. But that being said, phenomenal voice. I do hate the elephant. The elephant deserves all the hate because why are you singing like that? It's not your birthday. You choose all the times you choose to sing. That's when you're going to start singing. Whatever. But Tori Kelly, insane. Go ahead.
I never saw that movie.
You've never seen Sing? All right, I've never seen Sing 2. And my girlfriend Sarah, we need to watch that together. But we watched Sing together. Great movie. Great music. A lot of great music in there. Dude, you're talking Sinatra, man. We're talking, there's a mouse that is literally mini Sinatra in there.
It's Seth MacFarlane.
Yeah, so you gotta go, you gotta check that out. But Tori Kelly, phenomenal. Don't you worry about a thing. I think that's from Sing. Her version of that is unreal. So I'll go off of that. We'll go number 2. Once again, both me and Alex want to set the record straight. These are our top 5. These, to me, are the 5 voices that have thus far like shaped my life. Literally, I'm like, I'm having a bad day. Who am I listening to today? Whoop, boom, Brad Delp from Boston, right? These other guys, the guys that I grew up listening to, there's girls that I could put on this list that absolutely blow my mind. Tori Kelly's one of them. But just a disclaimer, these are not who we technically think are the best or like whatever, the most popular. It's just people that we love and that need, the light shined on them. So with my number 2 spot, I will go Lou Gramm of Foreigner. So Foreigner, amazing band. I just recently got Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, which I'm so glad to see. And they actually brought Lou Gramm back to perform with them. Lou Gramm is a legend. And he actually he had a tumor and he had to have like surgery and then went through like voice reconstruction and everything. And he's on his way back up. He's in his 70s now, but he's able to sing now and he's been singing with them. So Foreigner, phenomenal band. Yeah, and Lou Gramm, just like insanely great voice. He's got a little bit of rasp to it, a little bit of edge to it, which is great. But dude, the guy can sing. It's one of those voices you listen to and you're just like, what? How do you, in the 70s? We're doing this in the 70s? This is before we have YouTube reels of Tori Kelly singing whatever she wants, and Jacob Collier, and all these insanely talented singers sharing their information. This is like, these guys figured this out in their garage. They figured out how to do this by like singing to the, I don't even know. It blows my mind that we have singers like Frank Sinatra just singing. Do you think he's doing all this extra stuff to, get whatever all these exercises everybody's doing now? Frank Sinatra was a gangster, dude. He's literally just singing.
Your number one better be the same as my number one, and you know who my number one is.
I know who your number one is. It's not the same because like I said, there's a lot of people that I could put on here. I know who yours is. Do you want me to go ahead and say it for you? Bruno Mars. There's no
Mr. Leave the door open.
There's no contest.
I'm gonna leave the door open.
So yeah.
He is the greatest singer of all time. I don't think there's an album that has a single bad song on it. The Silk Sonic album is the greatest album of all time to me. Brody and I listened to that our freshman year when it came out. That is the greatest song, the greatest album of all time. Leave the Door Open, one of the best songs of all time. Put on a Smile, one of the best songs of all time. That opening album. I'm a Spotify guy through and through, but when I was young, I would get iTunes cards. Blast from the past, by the way. And I would buy the Bruno Mars albums, and he's the only person's album I would buy. Only when I was a kid. Doo-Wops and Hooligans, electric. Unorthodox Jukebox, electric.
Great albums. Can we wait, take the time machine back. Can we start making music like that again? Like everybody. It won't happen, and I'm sure 40 years from now, they're going to start making music that sounds just like that, and people are going to be like, whoa, what is happening? Guess what? It happens the same way we're making music from the 80s now, music from the 70s, but like that era of music, my gosh, dude, continue. But I agree. 2 fantastic albums.
And this also, it helps that he's a great writer. I think about a lot of the stuff he wrote for other people. He's written for Adele, who is an honorable mention on this list, by the way. She's electric. And you just look, it's writing, it's instrumentation, it's song construction, the way he makes the song, the way the verses are versus the bridges and the choruses and the pre's. It's just, I feel like he's one of the people in the world that make music what it is, for me. Like, he, for me, is my inspiration for music. I love listening to him. He's the reason that I started getting into music. Yeah, I think he'll always be my number one because of that.
Yeah. No, I agree, and I have no complaints with your top 5. It's a good top 5. Bruno Mars, I like I said, I kept mine in the classic vein just because it's what I grew up on, right? Something that's insanely important to me. But I could have put a lot of people in there, and one of the only reason I honestly didn't put Bruno Mars in this is because I knew he was going to be on your list, and I'm not about to double. But he would absolutely earn a place in my top 5, and part of it is songwriting. I'm never disappointed, right? But also, like, come on, dude. Everything he sings, like, me and my sister enjoy a lot of Bruno Mars together because he's so good. And there's a video, if you haven't seen it, everyone, of Bruno Mars singing All I Ask in a studio.
That's Adele's song for people that are wondering, but...
Yeah, yes.
But
Bruno Mars wrote it. So it's Bruno Mars wrote it, and he performed it in a studio, outside of the Adele setting. And it's soulful. It's everything you think it's going to be. It's that. So Bruno Mars, insanely talented, and he'll disappear for 5 years at a time and then come back out with a album of the year. So, but you know what? That's because good music takes time, right? We can't just pump out albums every year. This stuff takes time. But anyways, I'll end our great conversation by saying my band, shameless plug, Yachtbirds, which thank you for the intro, Yachtbirds. That is a song called IGY. I actually had the privilege of writing that song, and that is with my band called Yachtbirds. Me and my friends.
Yachtbirds.
Everybody go listen to Yachtbirds. The album's called Kitchen Conversations. Had a blast making this with my friends. An honorable mention, Braden Lloyd on my top 5 singers list. Braden, we love you. But seriously, every time I'm listening to, there's a song called Fade Away on the album that we made. And the bridge, as soon as we got to the bridge, I'm sitting there with Braden, and we're like recording this out. We're doing it over and over. And there's this line, it goes up, just the way it goes up, the melody. And I looked at Braden and I was like, dude, that is so Bruno Mars. Like, number one, it's good, right? It's a good bridge. Good bridges make the song. And number 2, the vocal line, the way it just happens, I'm like, dude, that is so Bruno Mars. And it just made me happy. As soon as I said, that is so Bruno Mars, click, it's in, right? Once I got that comparison in my mind, I was like, yeah, no, that's happening. That's how good Bruno Mars is. Oh, I didn't get my number one.
You've been talking about Bruno
Dude,
Mars.
I'm such a yapper, and Bruno Mars got my attention, bro. My number one, my favorite singer of all time, Burton Cummings. Burton Cummings was the singer of the Guess Who made American Woman, Share the Land, No Time, New Mother Nature, all these classic hits. One of the most influential bands of the late 60s, early 70s. I actually got the privilege to see Burton Cummings this last year. He's literally mid 70s and still touring. He's a legend, and I got to see him with my dad, and that was truly special. And I mean, this guy, there's no voice in the history of the earth that comes close to just like touching my soul like Burton Cummings. Every time I hear it, I just like smile. I was actually listening to him this morning on the way home. Insane. I love Burton Cummings. You guys go listen to him. There's a live video of him singing on the Midnight Special, which was a great 70s TV show where they showcased. Think about like Jimmy Fallon, how he does his performances, but like just for performances. Go check out the Midnight Special. But there's a performance, I think it's from like 76, 77, of Burton Cummings and the Guess Who singing, and they sing American Woman. Dude, he's wearing an all-white suit. And like, I just remember reading this one comment on YouTube, and I will remember it for my life, that just says, that guy is a bad man. And bad being all uppercase. Just a bad man. The dude could sing. I mean, the voice of an angel, but the persona of just like a cold-hearted killer. The dude was insane. Go listen to Burton Cummings. Show him some love. Dude, there's artists that me and you could both advocate for that like people don't listen to enough. Right? It's like upsetting. But I mean, they Guess Who gets their love. But they're still not in Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Which is a joke, by the way. There's still, Burton Cummings just doesn't get talked about enough. So he's insane. My number one singer of all time. But that rounds out my list, right? I got a lot of classic rock guys on here. Got a lot of voice of the 70s. And it's so hard, dude. There's so many voices. I could put country singers in here. I could put 80s singers in here. I could put some of today's current singers in here. It's just so hard. But these are guys that I grew up with. These are guys and girls that we both listen to on the daily. So, you got anything else to add, Alex?
Just that, big fan of the Guess Who as well, and if anybody wants a song from that band, and obviously Brody's number one artist, singer, Laughing by the Guess Who. It's their best song to me.
So
it's a great
good,
song.
dude. I honestly forgot. We talked about this freshman year. I forgot that you liked the Guess Who. So, yeah, the Guess Who, for me, you got to look at, like, why these guys are important, right? Why these singers, why these bands are so important, and the time that they did it at, right? That's a late 60s, early 70s group that doesn't get the respect they deserve, and groups after them get the respect. And I'm like, well, those groups wouldn't even be doing it without this group, right? Does that make sense? What are you laughing about over there, Knucklehead? What do you got to say?
Look at how long we've been recording.
Hey, man, people can watch a movie. Anyways, okay. Cool, that wraps up our episode for today. So a little longer episode, but we touched on a lot of stuff. Stay tuned to our social media for more reels, more content. We're on TikTok, Instagram. All of our podcasts, full-length podcasts, will be posted on YouTube and Spotify. So keep an eye out for that. Hit our Instagram up. We have a link tree. Go ahead and check all of our stuff out. We really appreciate you guys supporting us. Yeah, so I'm Brody Minnick.
I'm Alex Desai. We've been the Starting Two Podcast. Peace.
Yes, sir.